The following program is a SUTV student production. The views expressed are not necessarily those of Salisbury University, the University System of Maryland, its regents, administration, officers, employees, or representatives.
All right, well, today we're joined by Ms. Judy Davis, and she's running for the District 38 seat. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. We appreciate it very much. So, Ms. Davis, why are you running to represent District 38C?
Well, I tell you, first of all, I want to thank the crew that are here that are giving me the opportunity for this interview, and to mention that it looks a lot different on the campus today than it did when I attended school here in 1973. I graduated in 1977 with a teaching degree. The reason why I'm running for the new district is because it is a unique opportunity. My community, which is North Worcester and East Wacomico counties, used to be part of 38B. We had two seats. Chairman Conway and Mike McDermott are currently representing that area. But because of the 2010 census, they redistrict, and now North Worcester and East Wacomico have their own voice, their own seat, and it's 38C, and 38B became a one seat. So because I've lived on the shore for 41 years, and I have a heart for service, and I have retired from my position as a special educator, the timing seemed right to be able to represent my community in Annapolis. That's why I'm running.
Okay. And what do you think separates you from your opponent, Ms. Carosa?
That's a good question. Ms. Carosa and I both have a heart for the area. It's interesting, we're both Catholic, and that's sort of where our similarities end. I moved here by choice at the age of 17. I'm originally from Baltimore City. I'm one of triplets, and my two sisters decided to attend Towson State. And so I said, I love the beach. I want to have some separation from my sisters and be more independent. And so I moved here to attend Salisbury State. Fell in love with the area, got married. So I've raised my children here. I've taught in Wacomico County schools for 22 years. More recently, I've been substituting in Worcester County schools. I also co-owned a construction business with my husband for about 20 years, and we built one home at a time in the Wacomico area, primarily like off of Johnson Road, Nevins Mill, Nevins Addition, but just one home at a time. While he was doing all the labor-intensive work, I was a licensed real estate agent, listing the homes, helping with the paperwork, helping to coordinate the subcontractors, working on the construction loan, and looking at house plans and lots to select where we would build our next project. So I have the experience as a small business owner. Of course, I have a heart for children. I was an early childhood teacher, and I earned my master's at University of Maryland Eastern Shore in 1997. So I became a special educator. I'm a volunteer. I was living in East Wacomico for 25 years, and now I've been living in West Ocean City for 15 years. So that makes it kind of unique that I've had the opportunity to reside in both locations. I'm also an advocate for the elderly. I'm a licensed respite foster care provider. So these life experiences are what I'd like to bring to Annapolis. So my difference is I've been here, I have been in the trenches, and I want to represent us in Annapolis.
Okay. And what do you think are the biggest issues facing the Eastern Shore, and specifically this district at this time?
Right. Well, I have had an opportunity. I haven't been doing any part-time teaching this fall, and I started walking door to door on August 1st. I visited 1,300 homes in Ocean Pines, and now I'm trying to visit the residents of West Ocean City and also East Wacomico. The reason why I mention that is folks from any neighborhood have all mentioned that there are three things that they're really concerned about. One is maintaining our education system. We have Maryland schools are #1 in the nation. Also, trying to find more jobs. Employment is a real problem. So trying to encourage more businesses to come to our area and establish permanent full-time employment. I know where I live in the Ocean City area, we have a lot of work, but it's seasonal. And then the third thing that they're concerned about is no more taxes. People are trying to live on oftentimes very modest budgets, maybe their Social Security check, and when gas goes up, and food is impacted by the costs, our utilities are very high here, and so folks have said, no more taxes. So those are the three areas that I have heard that are, of the top priority, and that again is the maintaining our education system, trying to get more businesses in our community, and no more taxes.
Okay. And what would be among your top priority? Let me say that again. What would be among your top priorities if elected?
Well, one thing is that I'm very good at letting folks know, and also that would be businesses or aspiring entrepreneurs, about the resources that are already available both locally and within the state to help their household or to help them as they develop a plan, for establishing a business. And so one of my, I think of myself as an advocate. For example, I met a gentleman who had an asbestos removal business across the bridge on in the Montgomery County area, and he moved down here to help take care of his 90-year-old mother. He lives in the Pines. And I can say to him that the Beacon program here at Salisbury University is a wonderful resource which has free mentors to help folks that are trying to be either reestablish their business or to start a new business in terms of how to develop a plan, what the accounting situation would be like, the social media end for promoting and marketing, the regulations that they would be expected to abide by. So that's just one example on the business end. There are a lot of grants and loans that are available. We had a young lady that has a daycare center in Berlin who wanted to expand her hours in order to offer more flexible times for the parents of the children that she was caring for. She happened to be in Walmart and went into the Maryland Workforce Van and was able to get a grant. So now she's extended her hours. Instead of closing at 5 o'clock, she closes at 8:30 or 9. So that's another example. And there are a lot of wonderful resources at our Chamber of Commerce's that allow businesses to grow and to develop. We have a program in Maryland called the Veterans Employment Act. If you had served in one of the military branches and you have come back to the community, perhaps you did a lot of work in the water treatment area, making sure that the military had safe water to drink when they were assigned somewhere. And so you could use that military experience as towards the criteria that's required to get Maryland certification for specific positions. I'm just using water treatment. There's a lot of different, so that's, the Veterans Employment Act allows the veterans to use their life experience towards the certification. So Taylor, what I'm trying to say is that as an advocate or as a navigator, one of my key things would be letting people know what's already out there rather than reinventing the wheel.
Okay. And now the shore tends to be more conservative, particularly the rural areas. How will you make sure that these voices on the outskirts, which are farmers particularly, how can they be heard specifically?
Right. And that's a good question. My last position with Wacomico County Schools was I was a special ed teacher working in middle school at Pittsville Elementary and Middle School. And so I had some students that before they came to school in the morning, they would do a walk through the chicken house to make sure that, everything was as it should be, discarding any chickens that may have, perished. They're also in that particular community, hunting is a very popular. That's something that is passed down from grandfather to father to son. So it's almost like a heritage thing as well. And also folks sometimes, utilize guns for target shooting and that kind of thing. So I don't want to lose my train of thought, but I'm aware of some things that folks in the rural areas hold dear to them. Now, in terms of the agriculture and poultry, the farmers have, in fact, they've just doing a more thorough study of the phosphorus levels and how that will impact on the farming community. I attend whenever I can legislative session updates in Annapolis, and I attended the one on the environment. And Delegate Maggie McIntosh is in charge of the Environmental Matters Subcommittee. She wants all stakeholders to be able to work together to help solve the problems that we have in terms of our water quality. For example, not only is it just chicken manure that is impacting on our water, and our Coastal Bay report is improving. It's gone from a C to a C plus overall, but we have certain rivers that are still in the D range. But we have faulty septic systems that need repair, and folks that are on a modest budget can't put out $10,000 for a septic system, so we need to make sure there are grants available for them. We also have daily practices. I live right near the bay, and when you're spraying that Roundup in your driveway to get rid of the grass and the gravel, that Roundup is going into the ditch, which is running into the bay. So people just need to be more educated about how their daily practices are impacting on the health of our environment. Also, the sewage treatment systems that have to be managed. So these are some ways that, and also folks that are outside of our immediate area, for example, those that live on the Susquehanna River in our neighboring states. Delegate McIntosh said, it's not just about Maryland, it's about all of us working to improve the quality of our environment, for ourselves and for our children and our grandchildren. So to get back to your question about the rural community, I've always lived very modestly. I was married to a man who worked with his hands, so I have an appreciation for folks that are our workforce, and I do have an ear for folks that are, a lot of our people that are in East Wacomico are traveling to Ocean City. They are our labor force for the tourist industry. We need to really respect them and make sure they can maintain a quality of life to be able to feed their family and clothe their young ones. So I do have that background in terms of what it's like to live in the country, what the stressors are, and I have a lot of respect for people that obviously that are in the poultry industry and farmers.
Okay. And would you introduce or support legislation that would slow the increase in tuition costs, possibly?
Yes, I think it's really a hardship for young people in order to be able to pay the tuition, and that doesn't even count folks that want to have the opportunity to like I did, to leave their immediate environment and the room and board. So yes, I would support legislation to slow down the tuition increases, and I know they have tried to hold them. And we do have the wonderful universities right here between Salisbury University and University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I like the way they're collaborating on a lot of degree programs. And just a kudos to Warwick Tech, Warwick Community College, who do an outstanding job, particularly with helping our local children access education at a very affordable level and get those foundation classes that they need in order to transfer here. So yes, I'm a strong proponent of education on all levels, from pre-K through post-secondary, and I would certainly want college to be affordable for our young people and for our returning students and for our vets that are coming back that want to have more education.
Okay. And what about the problem of students leaving college at an enormous amount of debt? Would you attempt to curb that kind of issue?
Well, one thing is, and we have very fine institutions here for young people to get their undergraduate degree. And so I would really encourage, and I know our high school guidance counselors try to make students aware of it, but young people need to understand that if you're going on to advanced studies, just get a good education. Make sure you complement that with a lot of, volunteer experiences and outreach and service work, and make sure you get your references that you need. But stay here and receive your education. Don't try to go out of state where then you'll incur such huge debt. Stay right here if you live here, or if you're a resident of Maryland, stay in Maryland and attend one of our fine schools, and so your debt factor will be less. And then, of course, make sure you access the work-study programs if you can. I know I worked, like a really crazy woman all summer long to try to hold that money, for school, because I lived at the beach in the summer and then came back here, I lived at Minokan dorm for a couple years. So that's the key thing, is that young people need to be aware of the fact that, yes, it sounds very romantic to go to New York City for education. Stay here for your undergraduate program. Stay in our state and access our wonderful colleges. Then if you want to pursue graduate work like I did, of course it took me 20 years. I went to school for 7 years at night. I'm not necessarily recommending that, but try to get in as a teacher's assistant, or try to get some kind of fellowship, so that you don't incur this huge debt, because it's really expensive enough to live in our society today without having the additional school debt. Then you can't afford a car payment. If you want to maybe one day be a homeowner, it's just so much stressors. So I don't know if I answered your question, Taylor, but what I'm saying is that don't accumulate that high debt if you can avoid it, particularly as an undergraduate. Because if you have good grades, you're going to get into a graduate program.
Perfect. So the legislature is dominated more by populous areas in the state, and we've had different issues on this side of the bridge. How would you be sure that the shore voices aren't muted over the other side of the bridge?
Well, that's a very good question. And one thing is as a special educator, the special ed teacher, as well as all teachers, deserve a lot of recognition and praise. But the special ed teacher is kind of unique in that they have to be the collaborator and advocate for their child and what their needs are based on their learning differences. And as a special ed teacher, you have to involve outside agencies, the administrator, try to get the parents on board to understand the process. Of course, the student, the teachers, the extra support staff, even people, for example, that are the maintenance workers in the building can sometimes be real cheerleaders for the kids. Why I'm saying that is that I'm used to coordinating meetings and helping to ensure that a child reaches success. So I'm a very good listener, but I also am very respectful of others. And if I had the opportunity to serve in the General Assembly for my community, for our community, I would not go in full force like, it's my way or the highway. But you learn and use other experts. For example, Chairman Conway is an expert in budget. I've had a chance to get to know Delegate Ann Kaiser, who is the Education Subcommittee Chair. So these folks are the ones, Delegate McIntosh for the environment, that I would access the experts in terms of learning more. But I think if I want to be able to advocate for the lower shore, but if you are respectful of the projects and the needs of the rest of Maryland, then they will work with you as well. So it's just basically, being able to work on, as we say, both sides of the fence for a common goal, and making sure that the lower shore, and to speak on the lower shore, sometimes we don't think about, well, how have we benefited? But honestly, if you ride down to Deer's Head Hospital, they've just built a state-of-the-art dialysis unit for our patients that have to travel for dialysis 3 or 4 times a week. Our universities look around this campus. Where did some of this money come from? It came from the state. Senator Mathias and Chairman Conway have been huge, cheerleaders for our schools. 113 is being extended. We have 7.5 more miles, I think, until that's all dualization. But that will protect our travelers and our locals as they travel on that road. It's very dangerous. We have lost numerous people on that road due to a safety issue. I'm thinking of one that was a teacher here in Wacomico County and one that was a teacher in Pocomoke. But I mean, we've lost a lot of loved ones on that highway. So there are lots of ways that our community is benefiting through the work of our current representatives who make sure that our needs are met. So I will continue to, and I will work hand in hand with whoever's elected from our lower shore.
Okay. And why should members of Salisbury University community vote for you?
Well, I tell you, I have a real heart for young people and for children. I have a passion for people. A graduate of Salisbury University, well, I was Salisbury State at the time. I am a teacher, which a lot of our young people teach here. My son went to school here, didn't finish here, but he attended school here. The university students I need their support because I am not a politician. I have stepped up to the plate because the opportunity presented itself. We need all folks to get out and vote and express who they think will best represent them. I have a lot of respect for, of course, our university and for our young people, for the ones that are trying to make a difference. I was an adjunct professor, I forgot to mention this, at University of Maryland Eastern Shore, working with graduate students who were learning how to be special educators. I taught a psychoeducational testing class. And so I just have a heart for our youth, and I need their support if they are living currently in the East Wacomico or North Worcester area and traveling here to go to school, or or if they already had an opportunity to change their address to reflect where they currently are living, because you can do that as well. So I feel I will best represent the interests of the students.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say or add?
Oh gosh. Well, I want to give a couple examples of how I advocate for the folks in the community, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
We had a family member who became very ill with cancer. She was 49 years old, and she didn't realize, or her family were not really sure about how they could. Their family went from a 2-family household in terms of income to the husband working part-time and running up and down to the University of Maryland with his wife. And so I called the gal's husband and said, can I help you with filing for Social Security disability? Folks that are very ill can qualify under what we call the compassionate care coverage, and there are certain illnesses that are identified as very significant health impairment. And my friend had leukemia. So I sat down with her husband and we worked for 7 hours. He had gotten business cards from every doctor that she had ever visited to try to find out what her illness was. And so that was very good. And we completed the whole packet. And within about 2 months, she was able to get her Social Security disability. She was entitled to it. She had paid into the system. She received that money and it helped her family for about a year. She has just recently passed. Her daughter, who is still a minor, is receiving a supplemental check until she turns 18 or graduates from high school. So these are the things that I do on a regular basis to help people who might not be aware of what's out there. I have another friend who had a double stroke, and he wasn't 50, so even though he was already disabled because of diabetic neuropathy and a crushed lumbar, he didn't have the 20% copay to pay for his medical care. So I was able to get him into doctors so that his diabetes could be monitored. The reason why I'm smiling is some men are hard-headed about their health. But anyway, so he was able to get into somebody to monitor his diabetes, somebody to monitor his carotid arteries, somebody to help him with rehab, with the with the impact from the stroke, and he's doing much better today. He turns 50 on the 15th of October, so he'll be able to get supplemental insurance through ARP, and then if he has any more health issues. So the reason why I'm saying this is that we have people that are really struggling. I mean, not everybody out there, you know, has a lot of extra resources. And these folks need to know that we care about them as well. We want them to have a voice in our community. I met some people when I was walking. The man had been unemployed for 18 months, and his wife, I keep saying strokes, but it did happen to her. She was 60. So not only did she lose her unemployment because of her health, because of her health, but he also eventually got a job making 1/3 of what he did in another area, and they're losing their home to a short sale. So we have a lot of people. We also have children that are hungry. 1/4 of our children in both Wacomico County and Worcester County are food insecure. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. The SNAP program that used to provide $100 a month for our kids, they've cut that by $8 a month, so it's $92 a month. So try feeding a child on $23 a week. It's not easy. And these people are not sitting home and watching TV. There are domestic workers, there are bus boys, there are desk clerks, and they're doing the best they can to work, but it's not enough. And if you're in the Ocean City area, and here our rents are high, you know, they're not comparable with what we make. So I want to be a voice for those that do not have a voice. I want to be a voice for the middle class families that are struggling. I want to be a voice for our people that are starting businesses, and for our youth and our school system. And so that is why I am running, and I am hoping to get your support. Early voting starts on October 23rd through the 30th. In case this runs before then, it's at Wacomico County Civic Center from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., or you will be voting on November 4th. Okay. Or you can do absentee ballot voting. So again, Taylor, have I answered your questions?
You have, absolutely. And thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you.
Ms.
I
Davis.
appreciate it too.
And that's it. Thank you very much.